All right, greetings. Welcome back to BlackBerry News, where my hair is doing something. I don't know. I have a weird cowlick going on my head. I can't seem to figure out. But greetings. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I had a busy morning picking up official documents and just barely slid in here on time to do the show. But I'm here. You're here. Does it sound, how weird does it sound? Super weird? I'm not sure. Kind of weird. Somewhat roomy and boomy. Yeah, the German elections happened, and I don't really know. I've been kind of unable to really look deeply into the news for the last couple of days or follow what's going on. So I'm just kind of catching what I can catch. Here's an interesting one. Did y'all know this? This is that Biden was giving Ukrainian refugees Social Security checks. I don't know. Is that happening? I saw that migrants were getting I don't know. Educate me if you know better than me. If you're immigrating to this country and you're not yet legal status, do you get a Social Security card? Saw somebody pointing out that an immigration lawyer was saying that this person had one of her clients had a Social Security card, but they were not yet. Is that something that happens? Because we were having a little bit of a debate about people being able to vote and not being citizens. But if you're not yet a legal citizen and you have a Social Security card, I guess you could probably figure out a way to vote. But this was an immigration lawyer, not like just admitting that this person had a Social Security card, not like it was a scandal, like it was just natural for them to have a Social Security card. Just like, well, he had all his documents and they detained him and he had a Social Security card. Is that supposed to be happening? I'm just curious. This is gonna be a little more freestyle. I mean, I have Malcolm Young says in UK you get a temporary national insurance number. Maybe an itinerary card. Okay. I just wasn't aware. My hair is fabulous. Oh, thanks, man. All right. No, I wasn't aware. I mean, it is, it is interesting. Like I said, I'll tell the story that I probably have told before, which is one year I had to have an operation. It wasn't like life-threatening, but it was uncomfortable. I had a condition. And I didn't I didn't really make enough to afford to be able to get. I did have Obamacare at the time. Whatever Affordable Care Act. I had like something I was paying on, but it was just not. It was expensive, and there was a deductible, and anyways. Yeah, and this is where we're going with this, John Glad. Yeah. So um, I had this thing that I had to have an operation for, and I was trying to get on Medi-Cal so they could just do the operation, because I couldn't really afford to do it otherwise. And it wasn't like life threatening, but it was uncomfortable. It was something that was they actually didn't know whether it was life threatening or not. It just from the anyways. So I had to have an operation, and so I was trying to get on Medi-Cal, and I kept applying, and they kept like giving it to me and then kicking me off, and then giving it to me and kicking me off. And I was trying to schedule this procedure, and they kept kicking me off. And I went to the hospital where I was going to get the procedure done, and they have like Medi-Cal and Medicare assistants, people there, personnel there that can help you out. And I went in there to talk with somebody about it. And this woman just said, I'm going to help you get on Medi-Cal so you can get this operation. And she did. But while she was helping me, she said, it's a crying shame that you're a citizen and you live here and you grew up here and you were born here and you pay taxes here and you cannot get Medi-Cal. And she's like, and anybody who just flies in or walks across the border can immediately get free medical care. And she's like, this is like very wrong. So I'm taking this from somebody, I'm repeating words that somebody who, worked in the healthcare industry and worked for, whatever. So if you think that it's like that, I'm being, if I'm being insensitive or, mean or right wing or I don't, whatever people want to make up in their head. Like I'm in no way, shape or form right wing. Like I want everybody to have medical care. I'm a socialist. I want everybody to be helped out. I want there to be public programs for everyone, but it's just it's the thing where people who live here and pay taxes and work here and vote and like do all this stuff. And people would even apply that to migrants. Like, oh, well, they work here and they pay taxes and they vote. What? No, they're not supposed to vote. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little different when you come across and you immediately have like free healthcare and lots of benefits and maybe possibly people giving you checks and places to live or very cheap places to live when you're already here and you're struggling and you can't get a leg up. It gets the conversation is different, and the conversation can be nuanced enough to say like, well, do you fix it by giving everybody free healthcare or everybody, the same equal rights, which I would be a fan of, or do you stop giving the people who don't live here, or aren't from here, all the free benefits and maybe start giving them to the people that, people, you can argue that either, whatever way you want to, but it's kind of messed up though. Because if you're saying it's wrong to bring that up, then you're saying, well, somebody who isn't born here or doesn't work, isn't from here and doesn't have the rights of a citizen, full rights of a citizen yet, gets more things than you do, more benefits than you do, more of a handout or a leg up than you do. I don't know that would be necessarily great. I wouldn't. There'd probably be a lot of people that had an issue with that, and they wouldn't necessarily be right wingers. It'd probably just be like regular ass people. But think what you want. How y'all doing though? You're laughing. Somebody would call me right. Well, yeah, but people get really angry at me because I talk about how bad the Democrats are, or something, or my views don't line up with. If you think it wasn't Russia's instigation for the Ukraine war, then somehow that's a right wing. Somehow that's a right wing, point of view. I don't know. I don't know. All kinds of things. If you want to know what's inside of vaccines, somehow that's a right wing. None of this makes any sense. None of that viewpoint makes any logical sense whatsoever. But people just knee jerk react. Because they're taught to do that by propaganda and by the idea that if you're a good card carrying Democrat or a liberal, that you must think this way. We all think this way, and if you don't think this way, something's wrong with you. You might be a right winger. What? No, that's not. That's not. It's not true. Anyways, what happened in the German elections? I I saw that there's a new German chancellor. And I've already seen that there are people saying that there was some kind of funny business going on. Like, I guess you could say Keir Starmer, whoever is, the UK prime minister. That took me a second to think about that. Whoever is the prime minister, you could say that there's always, funny business going on with whoever they install there too. But apparently there was a conservative victory. I don't know. Conservative Party wins. Trump celebrates Conservative Party win in Germany. Okay. So Olaf Scholz is out. Center-right Christian Democratic Union won Sunday's national election, with the right-wing Alternative for Germany, AfD, finishing a strong second, according to exit polls. Okay. So they're still waiting to form a coalition, etc. But there's a lot of fears of, the right gaining power in Europe, as it is here, as the fears are here the same. Nazi came in second place in Germany. Yeah. Well, how did the Nazis come in power in the first place? They came into power because people, were feeling, well, the economy is, going down, and people are feeling like they don't have a voice. Things are a mess. And then inevitably people become reactionary, and they want somebody to step in and do something about something, and the Reform Party is gaining popularity in UK. Nazi coming in second is terrifying. So, Malcolm Young, I'm sure. I think when you don't listen to people, that's the start of the problem. And it's the same here. It's reflected here in the sense that when people feel like they don't have agency to change anything, as you know, I was jokingly saying to Jem Vendel that he was talking about, I don't know, Ukraine, and I said, there you go, sound like a right winger. And he basically just said something along the same lines, like, when you don't give people, when you don't tell people the truth, nobody feels like they have agency, and you're not really telling, you let things like that start to take rise, and by let, I mean the word let. I mean, like, you leave that option open for people to choose, because you don't give them any answers. You don't give them any solutions that make any sense. You don't give them things that make them go like, oh, okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay. That helps. I can, I can run with that. I can work with that. You don't give them that. If you don't give them that, then they're going to look for some other answers. And those answers are generally going to be angry or unruly answers, which I'm not a fan of. I don't think, a lot of people are not a fan of that. And then we're starting to see, it is crazy, Malcolm Young, how pro-Ukraine. I was just thinking about this and talking about this morning, that like, I'm seeing my friends now decry the idea that, just basically repeating the idea that, poor old innocent Ukraine was run over by the Russians. And it's just like, do you know anything that's going on? Like, are you even paying attention? And and that's a left-wing talking point. That's just a talking point that doesn't hold any truth, but it's repeated over and over again without any substance, because nobody knows what's going on. So there's no, there's just a base level understanding of like, well, it's Russia's fault and Russia is evil and they must be repelled. And look how Trump is so friendly and wants to have meetings with Russia, oh. No, that's not what happened. But, nobody knows that because nobody's being told the truth. They're just being repeated propaganda out of their preferred news outlets, propaganda. And people just repeat this stuff. So anyways, it's the same oligarchs. Exactly. Teresa. Exactly. Gene says, I get called a righty Trump supporter by the Dems in my family and libtard Dem by the Trumpers. So I don't take either very seriously. Only that I can see by this dichotomy in the countries and yeah, such shit. Yeah. Yeah, it's like these talking points on either side. The talking points are just so. What? Does that make any sense? I don't think so. Very few people know what's going on because and also people have a sense of they want to belong to a community of, they want to not be on the outside. If you think, and people tend to wall themselves off into these like thought silos because they want to, I align with this, I align with that. These are my values. So if you don't align with the values of your group, of your peer group, then you risk being ostracized. And I know that, I'm well aware of that. I don't really talk about politics on certain of my platforms, or I'm very cautious about it because most of the people there are, rabidly, liberal, and wouldn't understand what I was saying. If I came out and said, hey, this is what's going on, half the time, most people would just completely not even get it. And so I don't even try because I just don't want to spend all day arguing with people or trying to explain things that they should already know. So I just I just get on those platforms and I watch I watched the silliness just roll by, and I'm like, all right, is that what you think? Okay, good, great. Everybody's just becoming less informed and less educated about this stuff, and less unwilling to open themselves up to other ideas for whatever reason. And so you wore a Trump hat with a Kamala t-shirt. Yikes. Hell. I mean, that would be just as confusing as wearing a Jill Stein shirt. Oh, she's a Russian agent. Oh, I hope you didn't vote for Jill Stein. You made Trump win. Okay. Alrighty then. It's just, everybody's brains are scrambled, and that's the idea. That's the point, is to get people to think about this less and just emote more. More emotion, less thought. Because emotions are powerful. Emotions, if you can play somebody's heartstrings and, right, you hit that chord, that particular chord that strikes those emotions in such a way, it's very powerful, very effective, because people tend to stay in their emotions and not get out of them and just think it through. And, that's just been evident on this channel in particular, for a long time. I hope that people are willing to at least, listen to the things I'm saying. You don't have to agree, but just, take it in. But I've pissed off enough people on both sides, on both sides of the aisle. That's the problem when you say things that don't line up with somebody's particular political silo. It does not compute. It's an instant cognitive dissonance. I don't understand. What, climate change is real? What, you were on a roll there. You were telling me you believe that you know the story about 9/11. Maybe you even believe that they're putting contrails in the sky, and you're on it. I really like this channel, and then you said climate change is real. F you, buddy. Okay, you can't take in any information that's contrary to your position. Okay, all right. I mean, do we all need to fit in a box? Yeah, I know. Canadian Prepper is pretty good. I'll check it out. I'll find it. Yeah, I like Canadian Prepper. He's pretty good, and he's willing to go. He came out and said climate change is completely absolutely happening, and I think a lot of people lost. Right, that was a couple of years ago, and people lost their minds on him. They absolutely lost their minds. They're like, "What? No." F you, pal. When I first got on Rockfin, people just drove by my chats just to tell me what a asshole I was. You love Klaus Schwab. You're totally up in the West's booty hole. No, dude. No, that's not true. I just, hold a different opinion on one particular subject than you do. It doesn't mean I fit in the box that you think I fit in. Yeah. Okay. What else is happening? So there's is it a right wing party, or is it a conservative right party in Germany now? You would think creative experiments, yeah. Well, let's talk. So I don't know. There's so many things happening, and I can only really get into so many during the day, during one show. So apparently, a bunch of forest rangers were let go, which sucks if you're a friend of the nature. I have to say though, it's an interesting I might have an interesting take on this, and some of you might know what my take might be. National parks aren't closed, but it's more complex. So everybody's talking about, well, they let go of all these rangers, so now they're going to close the parks. Actually, they're going to limit. The result is going to be limited attendance. Which, if you're so this is again complicated nuance. It goes into this story, which is like, it sucks that park rangers are losing their jobs, period. And I can feel with anybody who's losing their job, period. That sucks completely. And the limiting of park rangers and or people in the parks, I've talked about this at length over the years, that people think that, well, you need people kind of out around in some capacity to make sure, that people aren't poaching or drilling or cutting down trees or, but that's happening anyways, by the way. That's happening anyways. Like, if they want it to happen, it's going to happen. See Vancouver Island, where, loggers are going in and getting the trees they want to get if they want to get them. And that happens all the time. So, what's the cure for that? Is it more oversight, more regulation, stronger regulation, somebody going to jail, somebody being prosecuted? Which I would like to see more oversight, more, I'm a fan of regulations that actually do the right thing, and that are being enforced, right? What's the thing that everybody talks about? There's laws already on the books for that. Well, if you don't enforce them, it's ridiculous that you have to like bring more laws into the idea, onto the page, when really you just need to enforce the laws that are already there. So yes, Judy Truitt, that's what I was going to say. I've been saying for years, like, I would be a fan of just closing parks, or at least limiting, extreme limitation of people, because what you have now is just basically pay to play, pay to visit situation, where the parks are open and they're all at max capacity, and they're trying to add more capacity. And they're just like, if you have, $20 or $50 or whatever it is that's going to cost for you to get your, your day pass or your camping pass, come on in. The thing is that people are trashing the parks. So on some level, I know this sucks. This is almost kind of a good thing for the time being, because it's just unintended consequences. But they're consequences that I actually kind of, sure, could it affect me if I want to go camping and I want to, get a spot somewhere and go enjoy nature? Like, is it going to affect the availability for me? Sure. But, less people tromping all over the frickin' forest is good. I'm sorry to tell you that. It's good. Is it, is the intention from the Trump administration that? No. Is the intention maybe to have less people around and have less oversight for people to come in and poach things? Sure. And that's not good. I don't support that. But I just don't think that we should be allowing any old, dude to just come. I'm a fan. I've said this before. I'm a fan of people having to take like a 2-week class, online class. Force people to take like a 2-week class to get their camping pass. And it'll just keep the yahoos away, a lot of the yahoos away. Because it will just take people that would be willing to slog through something a little bit to get a camping pass, probably would be more inclined to be a little more respectful of nature, and it just the difficulty, raising the bar of difficulty just a little bit will keep a lot of dorks out of the forest. Because I'm sorry, there's a lot of dorks. Last time I went camping, it was disgusting. Like there was trash everywhere, cigarette butts everywhere. People were just coming in, just doing like whatever, just complete disrespect. And it's like, dude, like people were here trying to enjoy this, and you're just leaving bottles around and trash around and just pissing and whatever everywhere. It's just like, F you people, like get out. Like they should be keeping people like that out. Sorry if that sounds elitist, but F you. Like somebody's got to put a boundary somewhere. Stay the F out. If you can't respect this area, like get out. Like, or hey, there's laws on the books, litter laws, enforce them. Give people tickets, fines, court dates, whatever you need to do. Give somebody a $500 fine for leaving their, water bottle out by the lake. Can we do that? I'm not a fan because people are just sloppy. And the sloppy people ruin it for everyone else. So if there's a way to keep the sloppy people away, do it. And I'm sorry, it sounds elitist. It is. Sue me. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just I'm a fan of limiting people's access to nature because we just destroy it hand over fist. But so the corporations, I'm also a fan of limiting the corporations and the wealthy and the powerful's access to nature. And I don't know how to do that. There's just no way, until you have a strong enough national government that has a, public identity, right? We're doing this for the benefit of wildlife, nature, the public, the future of our children. And they are going to literally take military action against any transnational corporation, from encroaching on their, until you have stuff like that in place where there's like a national government that has a military. They're going to like, you're not coming in here. It's shoot to kill, buddy. You're not coming in here until you have stuff like that in place that can protect nature. I don't know how we make it, I don't know how we make it. Too many beer cans in nature. Yeah. But it is a sad day for, I truly believe that people who are wildlife, park rangers and people working in the national parks are interested, and their intent is to protect nature and love nature. And so it is sad that these people that's their job and that's their like life work. But it doesn't really make sense to let them go like that and en masse. And this is, a broader thing that's happening with the chainsaw politics of Trump / Elon Musk, right? What is this? Javier Milei was the guy that brought out the chainsaw, I think, with the idea that he was going to slash everything. We're cutting corruption. And what is Milei doing but just creating an incredibly, right-wing, corrupt, open for business kind of government in Argentina? That's basically what he's doing. And it's clear, obvious, and to everyone. I think at this point that is the goal of the Trump administration it's the goal of the Trump administration to slash and burn and just make it slash regulation, slash federal oversight, slash jobs, slash spending, slash and open for business, right? So, but nobody's slashing the oligarchs' wealth transfer. Nobody's slashing the powerfuls, they're gaining more power. Yeah, I'm aware of Kameshwari Kate. Yes, totally. Um, you need to. I mean, there are land defenders all over the world, and they need to be supported on every level. Every level. Right. Don't slash SpaceX. Don't slash Neuralink. They're not slashing this other crap that's going on. Anyways, Elon Musk looking like a, whatever. Okay. There are very corrupt things going on. Obviously, it's just the thing that sucks is that it's being, it's not being overseen by the right people. It's being, we all know this. And the thing that's coming, we're not replacing it with a less corrupt system. We're opening it up to something that's even more nefarious. And here's Catherine. I love Catherine Austin's Fitz. And we're going to listen to a little bit what she has to say. Because she is a sane voice in the wilderness out there, I believe.
So let's get back to Doge. What's Doge doing? The first thing that Doge is doing is it's saying, okay, the old tools that we needed to run things in the unipolar empire are no longer needed. Instead, we need new tools. Mm-hmm. And in fact, those tools need to be much more high tech, and they need to centralize and give us much more control. So we're going from a more covert and invisible financial control to a much more high tech and much uglier kind of control. So when you listen to Doge, they're talking about, aren't we once wonderful? We're canceling the old corruption. If you look at what they and the administration are doing to build the tools of the new corruption, I'll take the old corruption any day of the week. And I hated the old corruption. I hated the old corruption. Okay.
I think we all did, yeah.
So we're going from old tools to new tools. And there's a wonderful commentator. His name is Brian Berlatek, I think is how you pronounce it.
Oh,
and he just did
with a sword, right?
Yeah, with a sword. He just did a wonderful video on old tools, new tools.
Exactly.
And he just nails it. He just really nails it. It's very good. Anyway, so when you look at the new tools, there are two things you need to remember. One is our biggest sign of corruption over the last 3 decades in America is the fact that since 1998, we have failed to obey the financial management laws. So America's been operated financially way outside of the law. During that period, as of 2015, 21 trillion had gone missing from the U.S. government. And the reason we only know up until 2015 is in 2018, the Trump administration instituted a new policy called FASB 56, FASAB 56. And that policy allowed the U.S. government by administrative order to keep secret books. Now, let's say that you and I were coming in as Doge to the U.S. government.
Sorry.
And we were going to stop the corruption. The first thing we would do is say, no more secret books. We're going to cancel FASB 56 and bring sunshine to the U.S. government finances. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to start obeying the federal financial management laws. And part of that is we're going to go over and audit the Pentagon and the Treasury and the Department of Housing and Urban Development and the New York Fed accounts for those agencies, those 3 agencies in the U.S. government. We're not going to audit the New York Fed. We're going to audit the Treasury and HUD and DOD accounts at the New York Fed and see how much money they've been sending to the BIS and central banks and other people around the world, including the Clinton Foundation and the Gates Foundation. And we're going to find that 21 trillion and we're going to assert ownership of those assets. Right? Did they say that?
Guess not.
No, they didn't mention FASB 56.
They
left that in place.
USAID.
So that's a little bit like you're not going to deal with a tank rolling down the street. You're going to take out a pea shooter and hit a bottle cap. I mean, it's just a joke. Okay, not to say that it feels like a joke to the people who are getting their money cut off, but
right.
What you're doing is you're canceling the old tools and you're putting into place new tools. Now let's look at the new control grid they're doing.
So I'm sure the rest of that is a.
So let's get back to Doge.
I'll have to go find the rest of that conversation and listen to the rest of what she's saying. But yes, she's, basically reiterating a little bit of what I was saying earlier. It's just that, they're not doing this in the right way. More on this. International terrorist Eric Prince gives away the entire game, admits that the dismantling of U.S. aid was to provide a demand signal for private market, e.g. Blackwater. Transnational organized crime, right out loud. Revolution will be necessary. Blackwater provided security for American companies. Now you have the Wagner Group providing security for Chinese enterprises, especially in Africa. Who's going to provide security for American businesses going forward? Part of the issue with U.S. aid, and I would say an over-reliance on U.S. government everywhere doing stuff, wasting an enormous amount of money and not being very effective at it, is it really crowded out the private sector from doing a lot of those creative solutions. So public-private partnerships coming to you full speed ahead. And this has been what has been in the works for decades. This is not like brand new. Why did all this come to pass? Why did all this come to pass? I explained it earlier in the show. When you don't give people viable options, when you don't actually do things for anybody, and you don't give anybody anything to go on, and you take away their agency, and you keep narrowing the field of choices down to terrible, more terrible, terrible, more terrible, more terrible, until you get to just terrible, outright terrible. This didn't just like, everything was great and then Trump came down. But this kind of how people are acting. Like, well, things are kind of bad, but they're okay. And then Trump comes to power. Oh my God, it's the worst ever. Okay, no, that's not how it happened. It's been getting progressively worse. And it's just depending on whoever's in charge, whoever your party is, then you can sleep a little easier at night because, your guys are in charge. While they're still doing progressively worse things. She did say 21 trillion is missing. Yeah. She did say that.
Blackwater provided security for American companies. Now you have the Wagner Group providing security for Chinese enterprises, especially in Africa. Who is going to provide security for American businesses going forward?
Part of the issue with USAID, and I would say an over-reliance on U.S. government everywhere, doing stuff, wasting an enormous amount of money and not being very effective at it, is it really crowded out the private sector from doing a lot of those creative solutions. And I think the great thing about capitalism, if there's a demand signal, the private market will respond. And as American companies do start to go abroad for energy, minerals, infrastructure projects, American private sector will be there right there with them.
Great. Another question from Twitter is, Blackwater provided security for American companies.
Again, they're just, repeating the line, that everybody has been repeating for decades, which is, the private market is going to take care of that. It's not, yeah. When the oligarchs and the corporations own and control the law, then they're above the law. If you're too powerful to be prosecuted, then you are the law. And that's the problem. One of the problems with public-private partnership. But it's the old fox guarding the hen house kind of thing, right? And it's why I have such an issue. That libertarian, that it is so effective. That libertarian / whatever you want to call it, government bad. You don't have any agency. You can't change anything. These people are corrupt and wrong. But file up and vote every 4 years and hope that whoever the best that they give you is your savior, your Lord and Savior. It just doesn't work that way. But that propaganda, that constant, the government's so bad, we can't do anything. They're always doing the wrong thing and you can't change it, and it's wrong, and they just can't respond to your needs, and they can't do anything for you, and they're not going to change anything for the better. And this, so somehow the private market, the government would just get out of everybody's business, then the private market could do. We already did that a long time ago. It's because nobody has any historical memory, or even actual physical memory of how things were back in the early 1900s, right? The Gilded Age, when people when children were working 18 hours a day or whatever the hell, for a couple of pennies, and no protections, and there were no workplace protections. There were no environmental protections. There were no, right? There were, unions weren't really even a thing. Nobody had wage protection. Nobody had welfare. Nobody had Social Security. Nobody had any of that stuff. And they could just do whatever they wanted. And this is what they want to get back. They have slowly, convince people that getting back to that is the way to go. And look where we are at. And it's so hard to, kind of make this obvious point to people, because nobody can see it, because nobody understands what they're even seeing. Nobody has any reference for it. And then people just repeat the line. I'm sorry, independent journalists out there, all y'all, are just repeating the line that has just been, Rush Limbaugh all the way forward. Government bad. If the government just get out of our business, we just do a better job. Sure about that? Who's going to protect you from the psychopaths that just want to run over everything and take it all? Who's going to protect you from that? I mean, I would love to see a really great example of like a volunteerist society. I mean, sure, volunteerism sounds great. And I'm sure there are examples of it until the government comes up and says, this is working too well. I mean, there's examples of socialist countries that are, doing great things until, the American empire decides like, well, if people see this is working so good, maybe they'll look at us with, with a little more critical eye. And we don't want that, right? We want to be able to do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it, above the law. That's what we want to do. We don't want fine examples of communism and socialism out there. We don't want, systems and governments and people doing things for the benefit of themselves. My God, we can't have that. That's why we don't support democracy around the world. We don't. But somehow, I don't know. somehow we have democracy. Oh, we get it. But I mean, you know, the propaganda, the brainwashing has been so complete that you almost can't even really like push forward like socialist ideas, even though they're, you know, popular as hell. Medicare is popular as hell. Social Security, popular as hell. Firefighters, popular as hell. Police, pretty popular. Except for the part where they go around just killing people willy-nilly. But like, you know, people love socialist, you know, institutions. They love it. They love those things. They like those things being in their lives. But they've been so thoroughly brainwashed that these things are terrible for you and bad for you that the brainwashing is almost complete. It's just like climate change. Like, you know, the brainwashing that climate change is not actually happening. There's no way that humans could affect life on planet Earth. You know, that's ridiculous. Except for the fact where there's microplastics in your brain and, you know, all over your body, and there's, you know, poisons everywhere. There's lead, radiation, and all the water sources of the, you know, except for that part, right? That is correct, right? We're polluting the oceans hand over fist and dumping, you know, toxins into the air and dioxins and all kinds of things. They're everywhere. They are just absolutely everywhere. But there's no way that humans could actually affect. Okay, go on. Tell me more. Tell me more about that. But the brainwashing is almost complete. You really can't talk about climate change with anybody because they're just like, no, bro, you're crazy. Okay. Alrighty then. Let's just, you know, we'll just keep going and see what happens. I'm not sure. Catherine Awesome Fitz. She is. She is awesome. She doesn't believe in climate change, though, by the way. But I mean, she believes in climate change. I think there's climate change trademark, and there's actual climate change, right? Climate change is actually happening. We are destroying the web of life on the planet. That's absolutely, you know, so painfully apparent. I don't know how you could think any different. But there's climate change, the lever that the powerful use to get you to do the things they want you to do, like through policy. That's climate change trademark, TM. There's two different climate changes. There's climate change, the lie, you know, well, we got to do this. We got to sell you an electric car because of climate change. That's climate change TM. And, you know, every good environmentalist, anybody who knows anything about anything knows that electric cars are not going to save the planet. Absolutely. It's the wrong direction, right? Michael Moore, Planet of the Humans. Anybody who's a real environmentalist knows absolutely in their bones that electric cars and solar panels aren't going to save the planet, or, you know, switching to nuclear power or whatever it is that the climate change TM people want to tell you is the solution to climate change. So there's two different climate changes. There's the actual, we're destroying the earth as fast as we possibly can. And there's the climate change that is used to sell you things or sell you ideas based on the idea that we might be destroying the earth as fast as we possibly can. Try and dissect whenever you can which one is which. But we here on this channel believe in climate change, the actual thing that's happening, and not climate change TM. It's two totally different things. And by the way, Trump totally believes in climate change. He's just not telling you that because climate change TM. He totally understands. All these politicians understand that, you know, things are dire and going to get more dire. And they love the fact that climate change is not an issue, not a thing that anybody wants to talk about. They love that they've succeeded in telling everybody that climate change is a hoax. And that, you know, every other independent journalists out there, you know, all the little minions will spread that message for them. They love that everybody thinks that. They love it because they can keep on doing whatever they're doing, while things are getting worse day by the day, worse by the day. Until people everywhere all at once, one day will go, oh damn, we're screwed. But they got you to believe in the story right up to the very end. They bought you, they got you to keep buying the lie right up to the very end. That's what they're trying to do. That's the point of all of this, is to, be the last man standing with all the stuff. When it's all falling apart, well, at least you can have all the stuff. You can be the last man standing with all the stuff. I guess that's the point. Jem Bendel pointing out that Greater Israel is the genocidal plan of the current criminals in charge. And we know that. And that was the genocidal plan of the former criminals in charge, right? The people before us, they were fully on board with the thing. And now Trump is fully on board with the thing. So explain to me what the difference is. Somebody, anybody. Happening now, Israeli tanks have entered the northern West Bank after 40,000 Palestinians were expelled. What the hell? This is from yesterday. 40,000 Palestinians were expelled from 3 refugee camps in the Jenin and Tulkarm area. Sorry, I can't say that. There's a real and present danger that these camps will be erased. This genocide must be stopped by us all. Now, this is Yanis Varoufakis. Sam Husseini says, why hasn't South Africa or some other country gone to the ICJ for more emergency orders? Where is the Hague group? Where is Progressive International? I think that's what this is, yeah. Someone else says Palestine says the only way to stop Israel from their crimes is for member states to take actions according to international law. Sanctions, divestment, arrest the criminals, stop arming them, dismantle the illegal occupation, recognize Palestine as a sovereign state. Sure. I don't know. I don't know how we end this. I don't know. They're fully in control. Anybody else have any good ideas about that? Teresa Andrea says cloud seeding flooding was listed among the green contracts around 3 years ago, partnered with our friends from Canada. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of green. Yeah. Yeah. It's like slapping a green sticker on the side of a semi-truck. Wow. Going green. What? You guys run on diesel? Gallons and gallons and gallons of diesel, and there's, millions of you on the road every single day. Yeah, going green. Cheers. Feels good. Feels good to go green. Thanks. Thanks for the sticker, bro. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Salt Liquor, yeah. Or should I call you Salt Liquor? No, sorry. These are jokes, man. Comedy jokes. Yeah. Well, yeah, the Great Salt Lake is pretty much just a salt lick now, right? Is there still no water in Salt Lake, in the Great Salt Lake? Is it still going down to the very bottom? It's been evaporating. All right, guys. Wow, we've just been talking about this and that, and it's been an hour already. I was gonna play this thing, like Kamala Harris being interviewed about the Palisades fire damage, but I don't. It's just not even worth playing. Instead, let's go over to here. So we'll read this story about the reading this about fired worker at Yosemite, if they will let me read it. I'm not sure. I don't want to read it from here, y'all. Apple News. Apple News. I don't want anything from Apple News. Here, let's see if we can find something. Let's find this somewhere else. No, man. No, bro. Fired employees fear beloved Yosemite National Park will lose its luster. I don't know. It's kind of like during COVID when they, everybody had to stay home. And yeah, a lot of people had issues with that. That was, lockdowns are not something I think is necessarily a great thing, but it had the unintended consequence of allowing nature to go like, okay, they all left for a second. Maybe we can do nature stuff again because all the hairless apes left us alone, So I'm not saying this is a great thing. I'm just saying it could have the unintended consequence of maybe allowing Yosemite to actually gain some luster if there's less people there to tromp all over Yosemite. We're nature lovers. Tromp, 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 tromp. Anyways. Yosemite National Park employees who recently were fired by the Trump administration worry cuts will affect the experience of visitors and the welfare of wildlife that thrive in popular vacation destinations. That's the issue. I'm all for the wildlife. It's the vacation destination part that maybe we shouldn't be so happy about. And listen, I love going to doing the camping. I love going out in nature. I love doing the tromping. I do a little tromping myself. I'm just saying, I'm willing to curb my tromping. If it, I don't need to tromp so much. If it's in the Brosemity. Bro, I can't rock climb for Instagram? Yeah. I know, I'm telling you, it's kind of sad. Anyways. Yosemite is home to giant sequoia trees, haven for myriad. Yeah, well then let the trees breathe and let the wildlife wild. Let it wild. Let it be wild. I don't know. I'm saying this as somebody who's sometimes a fan of unintended consequences that could be beneficial. Because people try to do things and they think they're helping. And sometimes it goes, the other way. Especially when, this wildlife is a vacation destination. There's nothing worse, no worse phrase in the human language than ecotourism. It's like, just don't do it. Don't put the eco, just call it tourism. There's no ecotourism, okay? Unless you're swimming to Costa Rica, then that's truly ecotourism if you're going to swim there. Or kayak all the way there. That might be ecotourism, but still. If you're flying there, that's not ecotourism. Sorry. Get a grip. El Capitan, a 3,000-foot wall of sheer granite and something. Anyways, the Trump administration last week fired about 1,000 newly hired National Park Service employees who maintain and clean parks. This kind of something that I've heard is that they were firing like people that were new and maybe just weren't totally in the system yet. And I heard that about other agencies, the veterans. I was reading that about the Veterans Agency. So it wasn't necessarily like across the board kind of thing. Not necessarily if you read the fine print. Newly hired National Park Service employees who maintain and clean parks, educate visitors, and perform other functions. Facing outcry, the administration plans to restore at least 50 jobs. 50, huh? Wow. All right. The Park Service also said in a new memo it will hire more seasonal workers than normal. The Park Service has about 20,000 employees. So they fired 1,000 out of 20,000. So it wasn't like the whole crew. But I guess it's good to read the story, the whole story, just to get a little more rounder, Again, I feel bad for people that get fired from any job. I've had jobs disappear. I don't like it. It's not fun. It's painful. Not wishing anybody, pain. Oleg Chimura, a rock climber who moved to California from Ohio, took a job as a custodian at the park, received his letter of termination last week. Anyways. Public safety could be at risk since the park search and rescue teams have been impacted by the layoffs. Other former employees are concerned with the welfare. But how many search and rescue? It's just, And I also saw this other story here about, I think I was looking at something about the fact that it would just be, there would be limited, it was going to limit, people booking slots at the park. Again, I am not necessarily mad at that. Malcolm Young says 5% layoffs. So, it's not everybody got fired. There's nuance to the story. If you want, so no national parks in the U.S. are not closed right now. So they haven't closed the national parks. They're concerned with the lack of seasonal workers, although in the last article they just said they were going to hire more seasonal workers. No parks are currently closed outside their usual schedule. However, that doesn't mean they won't be closing soon or drastically changing how they operate. They're going to allow filmmakers in the parks without hefty permits. Do you think that's a good thing? Glacier National Park shuttle surface to keep regions active during renovations and building work, but all of these benefits draw more visitors to the park. Usually, this would be a positive thing, but with less staff around, things may look different. Okay. So basically, some seasonal workers have not been rehired, and they laid off a bunch of new hires, but it wasn't like everybody. So it's not, anyways, it's good to kind of dig into these stories, right? Just see what is really happening. Yosemite National Park has suspended its park reservation system for summer 2025, pending the president's approval of a new timed entry system. This was pre-planned for years and isn't a new system for other parks. However, it comes at a time when the future of these parks is murky, with many people asking questions like, will national parks close? Well, so they're not closed yet. As Yosemite is one of the biggest and most popular national parks in America, not being able to book trips for the summer season will have a massive impact on outdoor tourism. Oh, golly gee willikers. Majority of national parks will still have reservations open for camping, hiking, and parking. Well, there you go. As these permits are all things that have to be organized far in advance. Again, there's a lot of ways to look at this. And there are hiring freezes. If you're a fan of the nature, not like going and looking at it. If you're a fan of just nature being able to be nature, I don't know. Unintended consequences might actually be better for nature. Do you count the marijuana growing cartel workers seasonal employees? Yeah, Malcolm Young, wasn't even a decimation of staff, too much drama, trimming the fat. I mean, as I read that article, because I was interested in the subject matter, and I had been seeing, posts kind of float by on Twitter. I've been seeing people saying, I was laid off from a job. This sucks. And I had been seeing other people talking about it on Instagram and other platforms about the laying off of and how, it was like the end of the world. And in reading the story, it is way less end of the world-y than that. Again, my heart goes out to the people that were fired because that sucks. I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. In the immediate, that's painful, and I get it. I don't know. We change the environment merely by observing it. Sounds like some quantum physics, bro. Can't remember the name of the scientific maxim. It is actually a part of one of the tenets of quantum physics is that the observed and unobserved particles that act differently when they're observed. So interesting. So that's my take on it. And it is, I hope you don't think of me as your friendly right-wing green MAGA person for dissecting it in such a way that maybe isn't fully like, I want to see the best for nature. I want to see people doing right by nature. I want to see nature thrive. And obviously, this is not a popular opinion at all, but if humans could contain themselves a little bit, because, we're worried about, out of control growth of all kinds of things, pollution, cancer, but we just, when we look at ourselves, to think that like, well, you guys are out of control. No, that's just crazy talk. No, I think we are out of control. We're out of control because we just keep growing. And the effects and the obviousness that we keep on growing are just there to see. It's just, not really, I don't know. We keep on growing, and the more we grow, the more nature suffers. And that's just, I don't know how you refute that one either, but it would be nice if we could reach some kind of balance. I know that's a bad word too. Balance. All the weird people are saying balance. All the weird eugenicists out there are talking about, really? Eugenicists are talking about balance? Okay. There's no balance. Okay. You mean the balance that keeps the Earth perfectly situated where it is between the sun and the other planets? There's no balance? Okay. There's seasons, the winter and the summer. Keep kind of everything perfectly in balance so that they go this way and they go that way. Okay. I agree, Malcolm. All right, I've gone on very long. If you guys want to support the show and you like the show and you like the show being free for you Monday through Friday, and you want to see this show continue to go on and on, I'll try and move quickly through things tomorrow for sure. I was a little bit just rambling today, but it's just kind of an effect of the day. But I don't know. Tomorrow could be rambling too. I never know, but I'll try to be a little more straightforward tomorrow. If you want to support the show, there are lots of links in the description box. All the usual suspects are there. That's the Venmo, the PayPals, the Cash Apps, the Zelles, the Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, all the stuff. Lots of ways to support the show. So many of you support the show already. You know who you are. I appreciate you. You all are awesome. Yeah, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. Let me see if I have anybody to thank. I don't know. Have my buttons frozen? Oh, my buttons might have frozen. Crap, I hate when that happens. Sometimes the buttons freeze. There we go. It's one way to do it. Oh. All right, guys. I think that about does it for me. Appreciate you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. You're awesome. And I'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, peace. Nope, none of the buttons are working. I think I'm going to have to just... Why does it do this? It's Rumble freaking out. Yeah, I'm not even going to be able to get out of the show. Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to have to just delete the stream. See you guys later. Who knows how long it will take me to do this. I don't know. Still going. Yeah, where's the old emergency escape? Where is it? Here we go. There we go. Can we do it there? Yep.